So hi there folks, my name is Tono Sablan. I'm a consultant with the Pierce Conservation District, but first and foremost a Parkland resident and a Parkland native. I've lived here my whole life, graduated from Franklin Pierce High School, graduated from Pacific Lutheran University, and I don't plan on leaving here anytime soon. So today what we're doing is we're doing a walking audit of Parkland, of a particular part of Parkland. I should mention that was informed by a community survey that was distributed earlier this year that identified one of the largest needs for development in Parkland, for sidewalk development in Parkland, to be C Street, in particular from Garfield to Military. So volunteers came out today and we're essentially just taking an audit of what are the assets and what are the deficits of walkability in Parkland. So what's it like to be a pedestrian? And I should also mention that this project was generously funded by the Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department in a grant through the Pierce Conservation District, who has provided significant staff support. And we also have representatives from several community partners here. We have representatives from the county, from the health department, from the LeMay Collections at Marymount, the local museum here in Parkland. We have folks who have lived here for their whole lives, folks who are new to Parkland, folks who have different mobility needs, and we just have a wide breadth of experiences brought to the table here. And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention our partners at Downtown on the Go, who were able to provide us with not only financial resources, but guidance on how to even lead a walking audit.
When you compare like this newly developed walkway, even to the corner, there's such a difference in how it looks and feels.
When you turned from one crosswalk to the next going across the street, how different, whether it was the fencing, what little bit of a sidewalk or a path that there was, there was a culvert there, or there was a utility box. I mean, it was obvious that this was rural and wasn't planned for sidewalks and future development and stuff.
Where we're walking now is C Street, and in particular, I believe we're coming up on 124th. And in here, it's just, the streets right now are wide enough where if you have the ability, you can walk. You're still very close to the vehicles there, to passing cars, which is an issue. And then you get foliage like this, right, where you've got to dip your head below. So even for an experienced pedestrian, it still is not as safe as it could be.
Some of the drop-offs were kind of scary if you went out too far, and if you don't have a good cane technique, so that could be really dangerous to fall down those embankments. As well as finding the bus stops would be impossible on the ones with no shelter, and you would have to use, I see the consistency I see all throughout Tacoma is there is no raised print or braille signage. This area has not implemented that.
I need a lot of room, like basically for my arms to go back and forth with my elbows and everything, and I'm already but for my arms to go back and forth and stuff, and a lot of the bushes and stuff on the side were not propped down at all, and they were just going completely over the sidewalks. And
there were several, particularly one very precipitous area. There was almost like a little ledge or cliff that someone could go over very easily. That I think a simple railing or something along a stretch like that is very important.
For me, the thing that struck me the most was the RRFB, that rapid rectangular flashing beacon, to cross to a bus stop along Pacific. And it just, like, you have to cross 2 lanes of traffic each way, and you have to assume that cars are going to stop. And I get that people are going to cross there mid-block to get to that bus stop, but oh my god, what a dangerous place to try to dash across 4 lanes of traffic that may or may not be yielding. That feels pretty terrifying.
One of our observations as we were walking was just how obviously vehicle-centric the development is, and there's lots of lanes of traffic. There's some attention for a sidewalk and a bike lane that I can't imagine is particularly realistic for a lot of bikers to use, especially even coming close to all ages and abilities. It would just echo the challenges of the changing terrain that I think you're looking at walking from, even just from one end of a block to the next, whether it's a poor drainage and a puddle that you have to navigate around somehow, or overhanging branches that you have to duck under. I think it just kind of illustrates the significance of working with private property, and sometimes the private property and the right-of-way kind of blur together a little bit, and finding a way to make sure that we make sure we are retaining that use in the right-of-way, and not letting some of those the landscaping and other things preventing people from navigating that.
And then this is pretty common of arterials to Highway 7, where Pierce County does have jurisdiction, where you just get property lines or driveways that were put in when the property was initially developed. But this area hasn't been redeveloped in a significant amount of time. And so Highway 7 is a major connector in the county. It butts up, it goes all the way into Tacoma, downtown Tacoma. And it's what a lot of folks use to get to business, to get to retail, to get to their jobs, to their kids' schools. And this is operated primarily by the Washington State Department of Transportation. So the county has less influence here, but the arterials are what we're focused on, in that many of the streets that lead into Pacific Avenue, where Pierce County does have autonomy, are just not developed. Thanks everyone for watching. We're hopeful that we're able to give this information to our partners and create some pretty significant change for sidewalk development here in Parkland.